What happens when we try to rush God instead of trusting Him? Genesis 16 shows what unfolds when Abram and Sarai grow impatient. Hagar is caught in the middle, and God reveals Himself as the one who sees. This chapter is honest, painful, and deeply meaningful. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to our verse-by-verse teaching through Genesis. Today we're in Genesis chapter 16, a chapter filled with human impatience, fleshly decisions, and divine compassion. This is where Abram and Sarai attempt to fulfill God's promise through human effort, and the consequences are both immediate and lasting. Yet, even in failure, we meet the God who sees. Genesis 16 verses 1 to 3. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. So Sarai said to Abram, "See now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please, go into my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her." Sarai becomes impatient. Instead of waiting on God, she devises a plan. In that culture, surrogate motherhood through a servant was accepted, but it was not God's way. Vadi Baucham warns, we often justify sin when we are tired of waiting. Abram heeded the voice of Sarai. Abram listens to Sarai, just as Adam listened to Eve. John MacArthur notes, spiritual passivity in men often leads to spiritual chaos in the home. Genesis 16 verses 4 to 6. Contempt and conflict. When she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. Hagar, now pregnant, looks down on Sarai. Sarai blames Abram and treats Hagar harshly. Then Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her presence. Human plans produce strife. Everyone suffers. Sarai, Abram, and Hagar. This is what happens when we act in the flesh. Genesis 16 verses 7 to 12. God meets Hagar. Now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water. This is the first appearance of the angel of the Lord, a Christophany, a pre-incarnate appearance of Christ. Where have you come from? And where are you going? God knows the answers, but He invites Hagar into conversation. Grace meets her in her distress. Return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hand. This is not a call to endorse abuse. It's a command for Hagar's protection and Ishmael's future. God give her a promise. I will multiply your descendants exceedingly. You shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction. Ishmael means God hears. Even in a situation caused by sin, God responds with mercy. He shall be a wild man, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. This is a prophecy of Ishmael's future. He will be independent and strong, but in tension with others. Genesis 16 verses 13 to 14, the God who sees. Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees." This is El Roi, the God who sees me. Hagar, an Egyptian servant, becomes the first person in Scripture to name God. John MacArthur points out that God sees the outcast, the marginalized, the suffering. Genesis 16 verses 15 to 16, Ishmael is born. So Hagar bore Abram a son. Abram was 86 years old. 13 years will pass before God speaks again. This is a silence of discipline, not abandonment, but waiting. Theological takeaways. God's promises must be fulfilled by His power. Fleshly shortcuts bring pain. Waiting on God is an act of faith. Impatience can lead to compromise. God sees and hears the afflicted. He met Hagar with grace, not condemnation. Even in our failures, God's plan continues. His mercy does not depend on our perfection. Conclusion and application. Genesis 16 is a warning and an encouragement. Don't run ahead of God. Trust His timing. When we make a mess, God is still near. He sees your pain. He hears your cry. He is El Roi, the God who sees. Ask yourself, am I trying to fulfill God's promises in my own strength? Do I believe that God sees and cares for me in my affliction? Will I wait in faith or act in flesh? Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more verse-by-verse Bible teaching. Family, thank you for reading Genesis 16 with me today. If this chapter spoke to you, share your thoughts in the comments. May God remind you that you are seen, known, and never forgotten as you trust Him in the waiting. I'll see you tomorrow.